Okay, let's do this. My name is Chris Sarda at Chaos and Comics on Instagram and Twitter for all things comics. You can also find me on YouTube, and of course, this is where I do all my non-sports comic book podcasting is right here. So I was doing this for a while. I was getting out a lot of the previews, especially for Marvel and DC and Image, and I calmed down on it. And I like to do the real in-depth ones where I just separate them in different podcasts, just churn them out, and have a conversation with you. Except you're not talking; it's only going to be me talking. But I enjoy it, and it gets me like in the mode of comics, even when I'm not interested in the titles, and even when I'm not going to buy them. It just sets my mind straight. So I'm going to start with Marvel, as I normally do. We're gonna go through most of them if I have something to say about them or want to say something about them, and then later on there will be a DC podcast and a Image podcast, and hopefully I'll wrap up together the other indies too. But Marvel is a low-hanging fruit, and that one's easy to talk about in any context. So let's get started. First up, let's go with the general Marvel universe, the heroes universe. In December, we will have Avengers number 51. So we'll have just gone past number 50. Jason Aaron is still on this title. Juan Frigeri is on the art now. And you will have a choice of at least 4 Avengers covers. The regular cover by Javi Garon. There'll be an unnamed artist variant, the Devil's Reign, which we'll be seeing throughout this podcast. Almost every Marvel book has a Devil's Reign cover. And then we're still doing the Liefeld Deadpool 30th anniversary variant covers. And I don't even feel like I've seen those. I feel like I've been talking about them for a while, but I don't feel like I've seen them. And it appears, Rob Liefeld will be doing those covers too. So it's not only commemorating it, Liefeld's actually doing the covers. So Avengers number 50 would have come out, or will be coming out in November. And I may come back and do a November show. We'll see. But so that was something probably large, probably important. But I'm not reading Avengers. I always find this to be interesting, though, because, I mean, Jason Aaron is an example of that hot writer that I don't want to say can leave favor, because I'm sure he's just as good and as he's always been, but there's just a popularity that wanes, that happens to wane often. I've read chunks of this Avengers run, and I've actually liked it. I've enjoyed it, and I think that the manner that he does things, which at least the ones I've read, you do have like a star protagonist in it, even though Cap is there, even though Iron Man is there, etc. And I've enjoyed it, but I don't have like this deep, long read of it from 1 to 50, and I've heard people not like it as much, but I feel like a lot of those storylines have been different enough that I could see like not liking one arc and not liking another, etc., etc. So the hunt begins, and I guess we're deep into something with the mysterious Avenger Prime. Who knows what that is at this point? Where I am in this reading is, I think, at around. I'm way deeper. I think it's like in the 30s still, maybe in the early 40s, where they're finding where Echo is becoming the Phoenix and whatnot. Reading it on Marvel Unlimited, so I've enjoyed it. I've stayed with it. It's good. It's something like Spider-Man, except I enjoy it a little bit better. That now that I'm reading on Marvel Unlimited, that it makes me consider it. It makes me consider reading it more rather than dropping that $4.99 on it. And then Jason Aaron, not to be stopped, has also started a new ongoing, which it appears to be on the solicit says it's going to be ongoing, along with Aaron Kuder, who I think is a underrated artist. I think maybe he doesn't have the specifics. He's like one of those rappers where they're a really good rapper, but the voice isn't distinct. I always say Royce the 5'9" is that, like, one of my favorite rappers, but his voice isn't distinct like a 50 Cent or like Jay-Z or whatever, right? And I think Aaron Cooder's a little bit like that, but whenever I've read something that Aaron Cooder has drawn, I've always enjoyed it, including his Ghost Rider book that was unfortunately canceled during the pandemic. So, and this one is a Ghost Rider focus. So on a quest for cosmic vengeance, Ghost Rider finds himself roaring through the wasteland on a ruined Earth where the great age of heroes never came to be. So this sounds like it's going to be at least this beginning arc, or the beginning of it is he's going to that Avenger or the Old Man Logan world, and they've done a lot in this world actually since Old Man Logan. I read Old Man Quill. I liked it. There's a bunch of Wasteland stuff here. There actually was an Avengers Wasteland. So how this is different, or in how it's gonna how it is going to tie in or whatever, will be fun to watch. I think the cover, though, that also is by Aaron Cooder, makes it look like a little bit of a kid's story. So we'll see. I doubt Jason Aaron would be writing the all ages book for this. There'll be an artist variant for this, and that'll be by who knows. It doesn't tell me here. And then also Roster Dodderman cover for Avengers Forever. Another book that's had been going on, and I'm not even sure if they're related. I didn't finish the original series that I link this in my head, which was the Avengers, and I can't even remember what it was called. Avengers Mech On, or something like that. And here by December we will be on issue 5 of Avengers Tech On. There'll be a nice cover of Wolverine holding a bunch of weird tech on his arm. There'll be a Momoko cover, and then also number 6 will come out. And all you need to know about this is that there's a kaiju-sized Scream symbiote on the rampage, and the Iron Avengers will need every scrap of infinite mirror shard energy they have to try to hold her back. Basically, Avengers Tech On is a Sentai-inspired action-adventure series in partnership with Bandai. So, again, I think this stuff is cool. I'm okay with it being out of universe. As an 80s kid, early 90s kid, I mean, it reminds me of all those cartoons that were basically commercials for me to buy toys. And I'm actually okay with that. I'm accepting of that situation, to be honest, and actually enjoy it. As so long as it doesn't muck up the regular continuity. And to be honest, these fucking toys look cool. Like, to me, they look cool. I don't know. If they became toys, is what I'm saying. If they made toys out of them. We have Black Panther Legends, which I know nothing about. It's written by someone I don't know, so there's a chance that maybe it's perhaps manga-based, or who knows what it is, but Tochi Onyebuchi. So, I don't know. I don't know what to say about that one. And in November, a new miniseries called Captain America Iron Man premiered, and so we'll get issue number 2 in December. This is by Derek Landy, and artist is artist I'm unfamiliar with, Angel Unzueta, and this is what Alex Ross is doing now. He's doing the covers for this book. Alex Ross looks like his work takes much longer than, say, what I would say looks like it's somewhat easy, like a Peach Momoko work, but I don't think it does, because he churns out a lot of covers, so he must know exactly where he's going, what he's doing with this kind of thing. And I would expect, and this would be something I find out way down the road, but I would expect that this is an opportunity to contrast the Iron Man and Captain America personalities against one another in a superhero setting, of course. I find it interesting that they would do this now, because that was definitely the theme of Phase 3 of the MCU. And, of course, spoiler for a 4-year-old movie that everyone watched, Iron Man's gone now, and so is Captain America. So it's like, or at least this version of Captain America. So for something that got so much play beyond comics, it's interesting that they would decide to do it now. I wonder if something big or important will come out of it, or if this is just a Derek Landy pitch that they sort of liked, and they're like, yeah, that we need to put Iron Man and Captain America on something. So there's only one other cover for this, one of the many Devil's Reign covers which we'll get to when we get to Daredevil's big event. Captain Marvel. Now, I read my first Captain Marvel book, and at least for I don't think I've ever read a Captain Marvel book, to be honest. I read Ms. Marvel. That was good. But I read my first one. This is another example of me something I might not read unless I had it on Comixology. And I liked it. I didn't know what was going on, and I would have to keep up with it a little bit, read a handful of them. I read something like number 28 or something like that. But in December, we'll be at Captain Marvel number 35. Kelly Thompson is still on it. Sergio Davila on the art. R.B. Silva doing the cover. Let's take a look at this cover here. Real solid cover. Captain Marvel is, at least in this arc, is in a very cosmic setting, which I think I like. She feels really powerful to be doing some of the things that she does with the Avengers. And this is interesting because we're going to get a little bit of Guardians of the Galaxy and, some Avengers too, I guess, and get deeper into a little bit more of her Kree background, it looks like, or something with that. And this is already part 4, so I will be moving into that, the last of the Marvels book, as I get closer to caught up on Marvel Unlimited. I guess you never get caught up, right? But as I get closer to where these books start coming out, and amazingly, you get a whole bunch of Iron Man and Captain America only had one variant, so 2 covers total. And Captain Marvel, they're giving her 3 variants, so 4 total. So a Dodderman spoiler design variant, and 2 Dodderman spoiler variants. I don't know if that's true. We'll see. And now Devil's Reign. So let's see. This is the first Devil's Reign cover that I actually have here. Some of them weren't printed, and that's a legitimately cool cover. I don't know how it has anything to do with Devil's Reign, but looks pretty good. So let's move on. Now, this is a book. I would have told you if they would have done this book, I would have definitely bought it, and that's Darkhawk. And Darkhawk will be ending his miniseries in December, written by Kyle Higgins and Juan Ramirez. But then when it came out, I didn't get it. I didn't grab it. So who knows where I was? Maybe I was annoyed that I was buying so many books. I think I just really moved hard into being the guy that reads most of this stuff on Marvel Unlimited. So I didn't get it, and now we're at number 5, and number 1 hasn't even appeared on Marvel Unlimited yet. So I will definitely read it when it does. So someone is very close to the new Darkhawk has been killed. There's a new Darkhawk too, so I don't know about that. And the murderers are finally within his grasp for revenge. But will this defining moment set him up to be Marvel's next great hero or its next great villain? That's a solid superhero solicit. I didn't mind that, I guess. There'll be a Ron Lim variant along with the main cover by Juan and Ramirez. Something I was interested in, it's actually sitting here. I considered either recording this podcast or reading Darkhold Omega or Darkhold Alpha number 1. I haven't gotten to it quite yet. People enjoy that. I think the kind of person that would like it. In December, we'll be on Darkhold Omega number 1. Steve Orlando writing that. A Joe Bennett cover. That's interesting. I think they might be just running out of the Joe Bennett covers that they had him already do. I hope, because in my mind, or at least I know that Al Ewing said that he would not work with Joe Bennett anymore. And I thought Marvel was going to cut ties with him too. But interesting that he's still around after the racist drawings that came to light. Although I think everyone sort of knew about that stuff. And Al Ewing conveniently said he would not work with Joe Bennett anymore after Hulk number 50 was announced. So, but he's still there in Darkhold Omega. And we got Steve Orlando writing and Cyan Tormey on art, so I'll be interested in seeing Cyan Tormey's art. I'm curious if Darkhold Alpha is this artist's art. 5 of the world's... This was funny, though, when I did see someone review this. Like, Dr. Doom would put it together, this group of heroes to do, to do some high-level magic stuff. So, Spider-Man, Black Bolt, Blade, Wasp, and Iron Man. That's sort of interesting. So I'm not going to jump into there, but someone named Chithon looks pretty cool to me. And you get a whole bunch of fun variants, and by a whole bunch I mean 2. And let me see, these guys. I got to make sure we're still recording. I may or may not cut this off. Oh, there we go. Okay. A whole bunch of, just 2 variants. And they're just 2. It just, whenever the solicits come out and they haven't announced who's the artist, it always just says Artist A variant, Artist B variant. So, we'll get 2 additional variants, so 3 covers in total. The Death of Doctor Strange, number 4 of 5. And, this has a whole bunch of tie-ins. I'll admit to liking number 1. But not going to continue with the series as far as buying it in print. And there's a whole bunch of, just like with Darkhold, there's a whole bunch of tie-ins and stuff. So that just to me feels like something I should just be reading online, to be honest. I have no qualms about being the guy that just doesn't need all these stacks of expensive paper that never get anywhere and just waste space and stuff. I mean, I'm still buying a lot of comics, but on the news side, I've just really enjoyed the app. I've gotten used to it. I've stopped crying about it. So, Death of Doctor Strange has been written by Jed McKay. I think a writer that doesn't get enough credit. Lee Garbett on art. So I don't think I realized that Lee Garbett was drawing number 1, so that's good. So we're going to find out who the new Sorcerer Supreme is. Who knows how long Stephen Strange will be gone. I think it's going to be Kuchala, but we'll see. And, eventually Stephen Strange will be gone, but it'll be fun to have a different Sorcerer Supreme, a different look at it all. And then there'll be a Devil's Reign variant, of course, from Daredevil. And then we get a whole bunch of tie-ins. So one of them is Death of Doctor Strange, Blade. So Blade's going to get a focus. Dylan Burnett is drawing this, and that's very, very interesting. So it's a Boss Logic cover. The regular cover is a Boss Logic cover. That's nice. And Danny Lore is on writing. So this isn't the best Boss Logic cover. But that's really strange because that's 2 very different artists putting Boss Logic on the cover, and then Dylan Burnett with his very cartoony, outright, I would say, Mr. Fantastic looking characters, drawings. So there's going to be a real disconnect there when you open this Blade book after looking at that cover and then seeing Dylan Burnett's art. So, and this is going to celebrate, or this is going to deal with some Dracula stuff. I don't know exactly how it's going to tie into Death of Doctor Strange, but there's a whole bunch of them. And there's going to be at least 1 variant. Now, Defenders. Now, here's a book, and this is by Al Ewing. I just sort of threw some shade on him. But, man, I was on or listening to the Marvel by the Month podcast, which is just a great concept for a podcast. And I was going to say, man, I thought of that idea. But I think all of us that have Marvel Unlimited at one point have thought about just doing a podcast or a show where we read all of Marvel month by month or issue by issue or something. But anyway, they actually did it, and that's what's important. And I think it was those guys, or maybe, no, it wasn't those guys. It was a different podcast, maybe the War Rocket Ajax podcast. Just decided how great, they talked about this Defender series and how good it had been. And it really sold me. Right? And the Defenders book might have been a book that I might have just passed up even on Marvel Unlimited, even for free. But now I'm definitely going to read it, and I can't wait for that. So, hey, when you know that your character's doing pretty good? When they give you an event, but the event isn't going to be that you're killing the character, right? So Death of Doctor Strange is getting this mini event, but I don't think he was doing that well. but they're killing him off too to like move on to something bigger for next year or something, right? But on the other side, you got Chip Zdarsky, who's been on a Daredevil run that everyone has seemed to really like. I never got caught up with it. Who knows when I will? But now they're giving him a huge crossover event. Not quite King in Black huge, but still they're pushing it a lot. There's a bunch of Devil's Reign covers, and it seems like he's going to at least button up the Wilson Fisk mayor situation. So the story that's building for years is here. Wilson Fisk went from kingpin to mayor of the biggest city in America and is going to bring his full criminal and political power to bear on the superheroes who call New York City home. The man who once destroyed Daredevil, I mean he destroys Daredevil yearly, has set his sights on the Fantastic Four, Iron Man, Captain America, Spider-Man, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, and more. And since it's Fisk, once he takes them all down, you know he's going to sign it. So, and then, a bunch of what I think of as side villains, even though some of them should be big villains. Crossbones, Taskmaster should be much bigger than he is. Typhoon Mary, that's an important Daredevil villain. Shocker, Whiplash, Rhino, Kraven should be a bigger villain. I mean, Marvel's dropped the ball on some of their rogues gallery, in my opinion. But then again, I think sometimes the audience just needs new. I mean, Batman has this great rogues gallery, right? But, there's really the stuff that's really hit in the last few years is new. So Fisk has an army of supervillains at his command, and this is just the opening salvo. For years, Fisk has waited for his time to strike, and you won't believe the aces he's got up his sleeve. And I'll say this, I trust Zdarsky, so I think it'll be I think it'll really come together, to be honest, and not in like a disappointing way that, say King in Black was. I thought King in Black as a whole was good, but the villain was sort of crappy, right? The villain turned out to be a little bit generic. Of course, you got all kinds of fun variants. I used to always get these connecting variants, but I'm cutting myself short. So, and a red blank variant. Let's see. And Scotty Young is going to do a cover, so all kinds of fun stuff. And it looks like it's shipping twice in December. So that is a plus for Daredevil fans. And then, of course, we got... I was going to say we have all kinds of tie-ins, but we don't. I thought this Elektra one was going to be tie-in. So the Black, White, and Blood series that we've gotten for Deadpool and Wolverine, and there's a form of it happening in DC. Red Sonja has one. Elektra's getting one. And Charles Soule is writing it. Declan Shelby is writing one, and Leonardo Romero. I've never actually enjoyed these that much. I think I read the James Stocco story in Deadpool, and it was okay. And that just made me read the rest of the stories in the other two, and I think I like some better. And I'm more of a James Stocco guy than those other people. But you'll have 3 covers to choose from. By December, Eternals will be back. It looks like by November they will be, because number 7 will come out. And I am a big Kieran Gillen guy, and I like the Eternals. That's mostly because how much I like Kieran Gillen, right? But man, reading 1 through 6, when people said it was boring, I sort of agree. Like, I'm throwing this into my Kieran Gillen pot, to compare, contrast. I've just read a big chunk of his work. Not so much superhero stuff, interestingly. But this is not something that I would immediately recommend, at least those first 6 issues, to a reader that wanted to read Kieran Gillen. Assad Ribic will be on the art, and wasn't it? That's a different artist, isn't it? It wasn't Ribic on the art last time. So I think as much as I liked the art in the first one, it is. It's definitely Ribic. As much as I liked the art in the first one, I do think the art had a part of it being like feeling slow or boring, right? And that's because sometimes like painted art or the more painterly style art, sometimes it feels a little bit more impersonal. Like you gotta really give it time. And I'm not saying just one book. I'm saying many books time. And I think that was a big deal. And mix in the fact that even if you're a big Kirby Eternals fan, you only know so much about what's going on. These characters are only so recognizable. So, you know, it's a hard sell. It's one of those two that I might get real deep in and have read 30 books and now have a view of what Kieran Gillen's full idea was. And then recommend it. Just say, oh man, it's this huge chunk and it's important. It's more than the first 6 or something. But we'll see. At this point, it's a little bit iffy for me whether I would recommend it to someone. Castellani MCU variant, that's interesting. Along there, now Headshot variant, Wall MCU variant. Well, let me see this Wall MCU variant here. That one actually has a preview, and it does not look like an MCU. It looks like an old school, an old style comic. So I don't know what the hell is going on there. It's definitely not MCU. Next up is Fantastic Four. I haven't even started reading any of this on Marvel Unlimited. I was just going to hop in on Doom's Wedding. But I just didn't yet. I don't know why. And there's something about Fantastic Four that just doesn't interest me. But I would give it a try. I think Dan Slott has that, whatever the unnegative version of being a jobber is, like the guy that just writes a lot of stories. But I mean, that's almost a 40-issue run here on Fantastic Four, and as far as I know, he's not. They're not like kicking him off of it. So apparently they think it's okay to put him there, which is interesting because that makes it. Geez, that's 3 years since Fantastic Four #1 came out. 3 years. I wonder if it was shipping. If it was shipping on a 3-week schedule or something like that. It feels like a lot. 39 issues by December feels like a lot of Fantastic Four issues from when it got relaunched, apparently 3 years ago. So, of course, around this time in December, Hawkeye, the TV show, will be out, where we will get an introduction to Kate Bishop, the other Hawkeye. And naturally, it's smart to have a Hawkeye Kate Bishop book out. And this will be a miniseries. Marieke Nijkamp is writing it. Anid Balam is the artist. And hey, who knows what we'll get from this. It does have the feel and the look of, I was going to say the MCU book, but the MCU book has the feel, or posters have the feel and the look of the Matt Fraction Hawkeye. So there you go. And then we will have a Stephanie Hans variant for Hawkeye Kate Bishop #2. So interesting the way they want you to know she's Hawkeye, and she's supposed to be just Hawkeye for sure, but they still have to call it Hawkeye Kate Bishop on the cover. And yeah, it even says that on the cover, and it's the official name. So something that's very exciting, Hulk #2 will be out. I'm very excited for this Hulk. I know that a lot of you guys love that Immortal Hulk run, or at least the first 20 or so issues. But a new Hulk world. It's amazing that they keep doing this to Donny Cates, right? Like Thor also came off a critically acclaimed Jason Aaron run. And Hulk, of course, is coming off Al Ewing's Immortal Hulk. Just a huge, important run that's going to be defining for the character at some point. And then when they restart it, they're like, hey, Cates, you take over this one. So, and it's not even called Incredible Hulk. I sort of wish it was called Incredible Hulk. But we're not getting that. So, but nonetheless, it's Donny Cates on it. And I'm curious to see what he has to do. Like anyone that's buying this book, I mean, we're all curious to see what's going to happen. But I will say, in a different way, for me, seeing Jason Aaron's popularity wane is an observation. In the case of Donny Cates, sometimes I feel like his quality has waned in some ways. So excited as I was about Thor, that book has been just okay. Guardians of the Galaxy was just okay. The ending of Venom was just okay. Crossover has been just okay. So it's almost like he's been sucked dry of ideas or exciting ideas or that thing that really inspires or excites me. And what's he going to do with Hulk? I mean, the story that he's doing here, the mad scientist that's focusing on Bruce Banner, almost feels like a version of what we just had in Thor with Thor's alter ego, slips my mind. But, and I know you go, oh, that's different the way that worked, but they're both, both characters, so Thor and Hulk, and their alter egos, so Bruce Banner and, I don't know why I can't remember, Thor's right now. They're both like different personalities, different people, right? It's not like Superman is just dressed as Clark Kent, but he's still really Superman. Like Bruce Banner's like a different person than Hulk when he's like at least Crazy Hulk, right? Same with Thor and his character. So like just delving into that like feels very similar, But nonetheless, we will get a Devil's Reign villain variant. And this one's pretty cool, to be honest. It is art by Pete Woods, and it is Hulk dressed like the Kingpin. So the Hulk cosplaying like the Kingpin. If that sounds cool to you, go look it up. It should be very cool. Something I'm ready to start reading on Comixology, on Marvel Unlimited. I'm just going to hop into whatever issue happens to be there, is this Iron Man book. It looks interesting to me. I like Chris Cantwell, even though I don't feel like I can name the stuff that is the stuff I really love or really follow. But I didn't mind that, mind. What do you mean? Of course I don't mind. But I like the idea of him writing Iron Man. They're already at number 15. At this point, Ibrahim Roberson is on the art. Alex Ross doing these covers too, which I think he's been doing since the beginning. I'm getting less and less impressed with Alex Ross, although this one's pretty good. Anytime Alex Ross does something shiny, like a Silver Surfer, I guess that's not Silver Surfer, but it looks like him, then it's pretty cool. So, this is Iron Man gone cosmic, so much like Captain Marvel, not like Captain America, I guess, but these are Avengers getting out into the real world. Thor is, for example. Only trouble is Iron Man has become the Iron God, so Cosmic Iron Man. I'm interested in that too. The only trouble is Korvac has once again become cosmic at two. So it just looks like a fun comic, to be honest, and one that doesn't carry that much weight. So I think I need a little bit of that from Marvel. And when I say doesn't carry that much weight, it means that it's not like one with everyone's eyes on it. Like this is just going to be a superhero story involving Iron Man or Captain America or something like that. And I find that I need to find something like that, where, Spider-Man and anything Donny Cates does has too much on it. You get a Derek Chew Devil's Reign cover, so that's a pretty cool variant for the Iron Man books. Kazar, Lord of the Savage Land. I really like number 1. I am a big reader of Zach Thompson. Even though I may not give every book a good review, and oftentimes the issue has been the artist for what Zach Thompson's writing. Zach Thompson's someone I'm always going to buy and follow. I think what he does and the way he's thinking and the way he approaches writing is very enjoyable, along with his partner Lonnie Nadler, that they often team up on with. But I also enjoy when they're separate. So Kazar, Lord of the Savage Land, 4 of 5. I really like number 1. Zach Thompson's on a mushrooms kick. He's Canadian, and I think he recently moved to some like, not a cult, but where people just go live in nature or something, a commune or some shit like that. I don't know. I follow his Twitter just a little bit, and I stopped following it because I was getting too much creator stuff and whatever. But he's on a big mushroom kick, and the problem is that not all of these artists draw mushrooms in the way that they should be drawn for them to look super cool. That happened in this Dead Body or something. I forget the name of his Aftershock book. And it wasn't so much needed from Jen Hickman in Lonely Receiver, but it was in his last indie book. And then at least at the beginning in Kazar number 1, there's the same thing. It's like it falls short because of the artist. Not the artist is bad. It's just not a fungus drawer. And there's all kinds of variants, a surprising amount of variants for Kazar, Lord of the Savage Land. So a map variant by Jermaine Garcia, and an unnamed artist variant. Oh, it's because we get 4 and 5 are shipping, so it's not a whole bunch of covers. It's 4 and 5 are shipping. Kang the Conqueror will be ending in December. So people have been reading this and liking it, and I think some people either were first introduced to Kang because of the Loki show, or just Kang hasn't been a big important character. So it's time to revisit him. And this is a character with just a because he's time travel. I mean, he's time travel based, so just his whole history and world and who he is and what he is all confused. You do get a nice Mike Del Mundo cover, Colin Kelly, Jackson Lansing on the art, and Carlos Magno on the art inside. So Colin Kelly, Jackson Lansing are writers. The cycle of Kang comes to end, and the cycle of Kang begins anew. That's all I'm reading of that one. So you're gonna get a scanned variant. So very popular cover artist. It's in my mind, Scan always looks maybe like Art Germ, except doesn't force sexy shit down your throat. Well, sexy is okay to be forced down your throat, right? But I guess you guys know what I mean. You probably don't. Moon Knight number 6, Jed MacKay, Alessandro Capuccio on the art, and Carlos Pacheco on the cover. I got a mixed feeling from number 1 as far as like how people liked it or not. I saw that and thought right away Marvel Unlimited for me. So I'm not even close to reading the first one yet, let alone this. So how Jed MacKay, I told you already that I thought Jed MacKay's an underrated writer. I think he writes solid books, and as far as I can tell, as far as I remember, there's nothing that sticks out as this incredible book. But yeah, Moon Knight coming back, that's cool. He's going to have an MCU presence, and hey, his run just recently stopped at 2. When I say recently, it was pre-pandemic, but stopped at 200. So it's good time to revive him, give him some stories out there. Here's something I don't care about, and that's Phoenix Song Echo. I just don't like the Phoenix. I don't care for the Phoenix. I like it that there's a Native American Phoenix, I guess. I like it that it's Echo. And that's mostly because of the YouTube channel Carolina26, and he does a lot of focus on Native American characters. So, I like it because it'll make him happy. But the Phoenix doesn't make me happy. I'm just annoyed. I'm a guy that's annoyed by the Phoenix. So that interests you. It's Rebecca Roanhorse writing it. Luca Maresca and Kyle Charles are the artists. So, to some extent, like, okay, it looked interesting to me because it happened within Heroes Reborn, and that's still possible. Like, I haven't finished Heroes Reborn. I'm only on issue 4, and it's still possible it might grab my interest. It's just unlikely. Because I don't even like the original Phoenix stories, and then I don't like, I'm not like dying about what came out after it. And you get one variant with that, a Chris Bocciolo cover, and that cover looks very, set on the moon, reminiscent of the Dr. Manhattan. I guess anytime someone's sitting on the moon, it just makes you think of Dr. Manhattan, but reminiscent, but definitely very different. So, Phoenix of Echo as Phoenix sitting on the moon, and that's actually a pretty cool cover, to be honest. Savage Avengers, still going strong. Jerry Duggan doesn't stop, keeps writing Savage Avengers. I don't think Patrick Zircher's been artist on this the whole time, but I think I remember his name earlier. So let's see. Oh, hey, this is the comic I've been waiting for. Seems like all of them are the comic I've been waiting for. Conan, Doctor Strange, Doctor Doom. That's 2 doctorates there. And a Time Master to be named later, all join your favorite Savage Avengers to put a dagger-sized pin in the heart of Kulan Goth. Man, Conan has been after Kulan Goth for 27 issues of Savage Avengers and something like 8 to 12 issues of Serpent's Crown and some other one, Serpent's Stick or some shit like that. So, good for him. Fuck Kulan Goth. I hope you get him. It's one of those things, though, that I think perpetually Conan's allowed to be going after Kulan Goth, and we're okay with it never happening. When it's funny, I hear other reviews and people are like, we'll read issue 1 and be like, we didn't even find out what one of the 7 secrets were or something, So, good for us all. Good for us all. Conan is still going after Kulan Goth, and he's doing it with Doctor Strange and Doctor Doom. So, A+ stuff there. Shang-Chi, we have 3 issues. So the Liefeld Deadpool 30th anniversary variant, and then an unnamed artist variant, and we're looking into who was Shang-Chi's mother. And this is important for those that don't know, because Shang-Chi is a cool character. Movie just came out, of course, did pretty well. I enjoyed that movie a lot. It was exciting. And the Master of Kung Fu, his 70s story, is actually very well received. And most recently, the person I heard talking about it is, I think his name's Douglas Yoke. I can't remember now. But his book just came out, and he read all 27,000, Douglas Wolk. And he read all 27,000 Marvel comic books in universe comic books. And he was the last person that I've heard say how much he loved Master of Kung Fu Shang-Chi. The problem is, for those that don't know, is that there's some issues as far as like racism that happened in that book, and not necessarily like the writer against Shang-Chi, but at the time Marvel owned Fu Manchu, and now Fu Manchu is not seen as seen as sort of a racist figure in at least American culture or Asian American culture. And, so it's a real touchy thing that those books are so important and so well done, and that a Chinese character like Shang-Chi is getting the spotlight, and now we had a cool movie, and then here we are in his ongoing, it appears to be an ongoing, and we're still looking into his family, and in this case, who is Shang-Chi's mother. So arrows would definitely fly when we flash back to the first meeting of Shang-Chi's parents. So that's fine. That's looks pretty interesting to me. I read number 1 and I liked it. Spider-Man was in it. I think they felt like they needed to put a bigger anchor character in there, which is unfortunate, but why not? Strange Academy number 14. Someone's telling me that this is ending. So we also got a number 15 that's shipping in December, or at least supposed to. Humberto Ramos on the art, Scotty Young writing it. Man, people that love this book really love it. And it makes me think that, okay, maybe I'll give it it looks like it's an easy read. I like that little Dormammu character. I think that's pretty cool. But then on the other hand, on the other side of this, I'm just really sick of young heroes learning their power. I'm really sick of that. So, and I've said that a whole bunch of times. Whenever I see The Thing, I think of the channel Sleepy Reader 666, because he's very not critical, but not critical like negative necessarily, but it matters to him how the Thing is drawn. And I always think about that, because why the Thing and not something else? So the Thing's getting his own book. Tom Riley's on the art and the cover. It looks like it looks like a little bit of throwback art. So we'll see how that works out as a whole for something like Thing. But the truth is, even though I say I don't like the Fantastic Four, I think every one of those characters individually could hold, maybe not hold an ongoing from a sales perspective, but from a character perspective, can be their own solo stories, do their own solo stories. And, because the Thing is never like this rage monster. He's only slightly less strong than the Hulk. You have all of the thing about him being disfigured that you can look into, marriage, strength. He's strong enough to be a cosmic character. He is down to earth enough to be a neighborhood character. So the Thing to me has a great opportunity for a solo or a miniseries. And most people thought that the Invisible Woman miniseries was good. I didn't ever actually read it, but I heard good things about it. Mr. Fantastic, of course, you could do all kinds of stuff. Johnny Storm might be the only one that's like iffy, but he looks the coolest. So it would be at least a 90s Venom story for Human Torch, right? Because he's the fire. He looks really cool. So hey, there's good. I have high hopes for Thing. What kind of Kevin Eastman is doing a variant cover, so you're going to get like a Ninja Turtle style variant cover. And I don't know who. Oh, the Panosian Devil's. Oh yeah, Dan Panosian is doing the Devil's Reign cover for that. Thor, and then can you believe that we're at number 20 for Thor? Donny Cates' Thor is at number 20. I can't believe it. I don't know if we're going to eventually get a big crossover for Thor. Who knows how that'll work? But hey, Nick Klein is back on the art, which I'm excited about. I love Nick Klein. I think he's one of the better artists at Marvel. His style seems to take some time, so he had to take a break for a whole arc. We will be in the God of Hammers series in December. We'll be on the second issue. I am excited for God of Hammers. Last I left Thor, and that's when I actually do buy in print, they stole his hammer, and no one knows where it went. It got just stolen right out of Avengers Mountain, and now we gotta We got to figure out what the God of Hammers even means. All I have is the title, because I'm not going to read this solicit for part 2 of the God of Hammers. Timeless looks like one of those books where they're just gonna like give me information about what's going to happen in the future. What was that other, not Upshot, what was that? There was some other one that did that at the end of the year. If not last year, the year before, showed crap about Empire and whatever. So I'm not too interested in that, to be honest. Judd McKay's writing it, a bunch of artists in it, and it's a big book. It's 56 pages. It's a special year-ending adventure that gives portents as to what is to come in the Marvel Universe over the next 12 months. Kang the Conqueror is a warrior, a destroyer, a subjugator, but even he is subject to the whims and vicissitudes of time itself. So when a parallel timeline threatens to overwrite the future that Kang has fought so long and hard to control, the Master of the Ages has no choice but to go to war with time itself, battling through days of tomorrow as he struggles to prevent the end of what is to come. I don't know about that. Featuring all the major players in the Marvel Pantheon. So it's a time travel story for you. If you're into that, I'm sure there's a good reason to buy it. I don't know. I've decided I was going to read the events that show up on Marvel Unlimited. So I'll probably read this. But 56 pages, I get bored reading digital that much. And a whole bunch of covers for this. Bustos, Cabal, Carnero, Cassara, Coelho, Gleason, Momoko, and Silva. Which Silva is that? RB Silva. So there you go. Timeless, they're trying to push it. It seems like one of those, not waste events, but an event that's not going to inspire anyone that much. Empire would be that. Let's go into the Wastelands. I'm not 100% sure if these Wastelanders books are in the same world as the Old Man Logan, Old Man Hawkeye, Old Man Quill books. But I hope they are. I think they are. I think Avengers Wasteland was, right? So Wastelanders, Black Widow #1, and I think these are really just the podcasts. Wastelanders Doom #1. So who knows? Well, there's the podcast connecting variant. I know that there's a podcast for not Hawkeye, for Star-Lord. My assumption was that it was just Old Man Quill, but I don't know. I can't tell you anything about this, and I do plan to read these. These are all a bunch of #1s that they act like they are, different stories. I think a little bit like Extreme Carnage, but it just makes that so easy for me just to go, I'll just read it online. I'll just wait for it to come online. And then you also got Wastelanders Star-Lord, so a whole bunch of Wastelanders there for your consuming pleasure. Next up is, we are right in the middle of a gigantic Spider-Man run. I mean, Nick Spencer's gone. What was he gone at? Number 75. And now in December, we'll be at 80. So I feel like it's supposed to ship every week, but I feel like we missed some stuff, right? If 75 just came out and it is not a Nick Spencer book, how are we only at 80? If it's 2 months from now, I don't know. But this is Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man number 80, and it's .beyond. Cody Ziegler's on this. So, when I read this, they revisit the Dr. Octopus and Aunt May deal. It actually doesn't sound that good. It sounds a lot like Nick Spencer's run, where it was just like, okay, there's nothing wrong with it, but it's sort of boring. But then we go into Spider-Man 81. Saladin Ahmed comes in as the writer, who's been writing Spider-Man Miles Morales for a while now. And it's new Spider-Man versus the newest Spider-Man. So basically this is going to be a fight between what Ahmed has been writing for a while, which is Miles Morales Spider-Man, and then the Ben Reilly version of Spider-Man that has the trademark or whatever. You get a couple artist variant, Osro's Devil's Reign variant there. And then number 82... looked like it was going to continue it because it's also by Saladin Ahmed, but it looks like it's going to be some kind of medical drama in there. And there's even a pretty cool. It looks like it is a George Fornes cover, and I can't even tell what's the homage for, but it's Spider-Man looking through some blinds, like just peeking through them. And I can't put my finger on what homage that is. And it's just a real basic, easy cover, but it does look pretty cool, I have to say. Another Devil's Reign cover. And then you're going to have Amazing Spider-Man number 83. Patrick Gleason is writing this one. Arthur Adams, we're used to Patrick Gleason being an artist, aren't we? And the creator behind it even says the creator behind the biggest cover in the last decade is going to show you what he could do with one of the biggest spider moments in decades. As Patrick Gleason writes and draws this issue, the webhead is facing unbeatable odds again. Can he rise to the occasion to save the day? That could be every Spider-Man solicit, right? And in fact, Arthur Adams is the cover artist, and you can't really even tell So good on them not to put a really obvious solicit in there. But let's go read number 84s. See what the events of. So Cody Ziegler is back on Spider-Man number 84. So he wrote Spider-Man number 81.BEY, and he's back on 84. And this is going to reference. This is going to be really confusing for Spider-Man fans. This is going to reference the events of Spider-Man 80.BEY, which have set Dr. Octopus on a collision course with the Beyond Corporation and their spiders. So you got it's jumping all over the damn place. So I can see how people were going to be annoyed by this. But man, even though Spider-Man has, at least from a comics point of view, has fallen off, like he's no Batman anymore, there are people, and there are a lot of people that just, I'm going to buy ASM forever no matter what. Like, they're just going to buy Amazing Spider-Man no matter what forever. Like, that's just their thing, So, but that's all we get. We get 84, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, all in December, all for your Spider-Man reading pleasure. And then you have all kinds of other Spider-Mans. You're going to get a Ben Reilly Spider-Man number 1 with, look at this, 1, 2, 3, 4 variants plus the regular one. A Darkhold crossover, so at least you find out what Spider-Man's doing in that Darkhold mini event. And that's written by Alex Packnadell, so I would definitely be reading that. I think I will hold off on buying it. But I think I love Alex Packnadell, White Noise guy. So and Spider-Man reads from the Darkhold, so obviously it's not going to be the best for him. There's a connecting variant, which makes me I am a sucker for connecting variants. Miles Morales Spider-Man is at number 33. Salon Ahmed is writing that. Looks like it's going to continue from the events of Amazing Spider-Man 81. It opened up a can of worms to send Miles and Shift on a quest that will have dire effects for both of them. Blah, blah, blah. Ben Reilly will be mixed up in there too, it looks like. So, Amazing Spider-Man number 81 moves into Miles Morales Spider-Man 33. It's going to get I'm already confused, Man, if you would have asked me, would Spider-Woman get to number 18 when that issue came out, I'd have said no. And it looks like this is going to be a Devil's Reign crossover, so good for her. I think that's a good way to mix things up. I mean, Spider-Woman, it turns out there's some big Spider-Woman fans. Normally I find fans of characters I didn't think had a lot of fans when Tom King writes them. That's happening in DC. Like, I just found out there's a bunch of crazy Supergirl fans, and, they get really annoyed. But Spider-Woman turns out has a few fans too, so I'm excited for that. I don't think I've ever read a Spider-Woman book, although that is probably aside from the 90s show, the one where it was Spider-Woman, Spider-Man, and Iceman, I think, was my favorite cartoon. Was that Spider-Woman in there? I don't remember now. We'll be at Venom number 3, so of course Donny Cates' runs ended a while ago now, and by the time we get to number 3, Al Ewing looks like he's going to be off of it already. So we're going to get a pure Dylan Brock story here, and so Al Ewing may continue on, like maybe in 4 or 5 or something like that. They may start switching off. Who knows? But we're going to get a full Dylan Brock story using the symbiote, and it is Rom V on it, so no Al Ewing. Brian Hitch drawing it, so that excites me all the way around. Dylan's going to have to start dealing with some shit, and this cover looks beautiful. Brian Hitch on this is just going to be a real treat. And the Brian Hitch cover is amazing, so looks awesome. But Venom just easy to make look awesome, right? Oh, then Venom 4, that's also Rom V. There's no solicit there, but it looks like it's supposed to ship in December, and still no sign of Al Ewing. So maybe by Venom 2 we'll find out what happened to Eddie Brock or what's going on with him. I mean, being omnipresent like that, it's going to be hard to tell those stories, And so one Doctor Strange book I am going to buy is The Death of Doctor Strange, X-Men Black Knight. That is a long title, and it looks like Doctor Strange and Black Knight, or X-Men and Black Knight, will be crossing over a little bit. It looks like really Excalibur, to be honest. But Cy Spurrier is writing it, so it is an X-Men book, so it's a Cy Spurrier book. So easy pickup for me. There'd be a Bergara variant, and we're now into Marvel's X-Men. So, something I've loved, but is ending. At least my constant purchasing of it is ending now that Hickman's gone. A non-Hickman book in the X-Men section is the Demon Days Rising Storm. I said good things about Peach Momoko about this. I think mostly because my expectations were very low on it, and I liked it. So there's a review up for, I think, Mariko, maybe, I can't remember which book exactly, where you could find that. And I will continue buying these. I think that they are a good, fun, solid idea. So, Rising Storm will come out. There's no, Peach Momoko is the writer, artist, and the cover artist for the A book, or for the A cover. Mariko Yoshida's journey through the mysterious forests of Kirasaki Mountain has brought her face to face with strange and terrible creatures. But she's about to be tested like never before when she crosses paths with literal gods. You won't want to miss this electrifying showdown in part 4 of 5 of the Demon Days saga. So I've read 3, so I'm good, and I'm happy with that. So Stormbreaker. I hate that they call these artists Stormbreakers. And then Demon Days always has just a ton of covers. So one from Kyle Andrews, another one from Alex Garner. I love this Guru Hero one. I think they've normally been, these Guru Hero ones have been, at least one of them was a Miyazaki homage, so I'm on that. And then the Demon Days Creator's Cut is a little bit interesting. Well, it's Creator's Cut for Demon Days X-Men, so that was part 2. And it's presented in black and white, so that'll be interesting, because the Momoko's colors are something that's really important for her style, for those that like it, so I don't know how that's going to work out. What else we got in the world of X-Men? Excalibur, still going. Number 26, Teenie Howard, Marcus Toe. Otherworld Falls. I don't even want to read this because I don't know what issues are. I think we're on 23 right now. And I've enjoyed the time that they've actually spent in Otherworld. People have been on and off with Excalibur. I've enjoyed the Otherworld stuff. So I'm all about this. I'm happy with it. Let's look at the cover if I don't want to read the solicit. And yeah, I mean, this is what the covers have looked like. So something with Kate Pryde on it. And Emma Frost is on this one. And it's one of the rare times that they've put Emma Frost on the cover and it wasn't like a sexy cover, so good for them. Hellions number 18. This has been a funny, weird book. Zeb Wells has done a great job. I'm pretty sure Steven Segovia has been on it almost the entire time. This appears like it might be the end of the series. I mean, the solicit here starts with Hellions No More. They're all in chains, and it looks like the hands of the Quiet Council are all putting their thumbs down. So, the Hellions they're not gonna end well. So when they end, they're not gonna end well. But I like that book. And then there's a Momoko variant, which is pretty cool, and that's the Goblin Queen. So we'll definitely be picking up the Goblin Queen Momoko variant. Even this whole time, I haven't pre-ordered anything new, and even though I've almost wanted to, but I want to make sure I get that Momoko variant. And then this Philip Tan variant also looks very good. So a whole bunch of stuff. And then in December, we will be done. We will be done with the Hickman run of X-Men. Now, supposedly they still have his outline or something, but they really didn't follow his outline while he was there. So I don't have high hopes for that happening. But Hickman being head of X is over. Valerio Schiti will be the artist on Inferno number 4. I can't even look at. Well, you know what? Hickman's pretty good about not screwing up solicit. So I'm actually going to read this. Jonathan Hickman's time on X-Men ends with the dramatic conclusion of one of the first and best mysteries he brought to the line. Valerio Schiti returns on art to help bring down one of the foundations of an era. And look, the cover by Jerome Pena is also very cool. A little it's Mystique, it appears, and half of her is Destiny, so she looks like she's right in the middle of morphing, and she is looking at a at a tombstone, and it's from the back of the tombstone. You can't really see whose it is. So I'm all about that. So that looks great. Inferno #1 was so good. Well, it was really good in the context is if you liked House of X Powers of 10, and then read the right 2 or 3 Hickman X-Men books. So that's why it would have been good. Marauders 27, a lot of people's favorite book. Jerry Duggan on this, Matteo Loli on the art. And I don't think Jerry Duggan was the writer. I forget who the writer was the whole time. I think Jerry Duggan took it over. The sun sets on the Marauders. The Marauders' first tour comes to a close as the shakeups within the Hellfire Trading Company crystallize. Oh, we're done. Marauders has made its run. That is that's not, why did I think up above that was Cape Pride? I guess they've been drawing them similarly. That's new Captain Marvel, Betsy, over there on the Excalibur cover. That's funny that I said that, huh? And then this is a pretty standard Marauders cover, and there's Kate Pride and the rest of the team. So looks like Marauders is coming to an end. Is New Mutants coming to an end? That only got to 24, so at some point they got behind, right? The New Mutants regroup in the aftermath of the Shadow King's attack. Are they still fighting the Shadow King? Feels like they've been fighting the Shadow King for 6 issues, and they'll be fighting him for 4 more, apparently. Sword, I know some people have been really enjoying Sword, other people not so much. I've liked it. I don't find a lot of difference between these X-Men books as far as quality. And I find, and now that I'm like, more than 2 years deep in them, I actually feel like, I've enjoyed some more than others at different points, and it's not been just this obvious thing where Sword has been good, or Marauders has been, or X-Force has been the best. So Sword I've enjoyed. I just feel like they're all very close. But Al Ewing and having X-Men like in a cosmic level, and that's where the focus that Mars has been, or Arakko has been all cool stuff. And of course, Storm being head of Mars is very awesome too. So the Sword Station 1 is crashing. I shouldn't read this solicit, guys. The Sword Station 1 is crashing to Earth. Well, that's awesome. That's great. Cable on the cover. So maybe we get a little Cable here, and that's going to have 2. Oh no, it's just going to have 1 variant there. We're going to get a Wastelanders Wolverine. For some reason, I want only that connecting variant. Doesn't make any sense, right? And so I'm not even going to bother with that. I mean, is that Old Man Logan? Leads the return to the wastelands of Old Man Logan. So good for them. Wolverine number 19. I have enjoyed Wolverine for whatever reason. Ben Percy's been on that. I think they've just been like really cool Wolverine stories. This cover looks awesome. The cover is by Adam Kubert, and it's Wolverine is a very small part of the cover, and then there's some like, it looks like a Carnage whale, like a whale. It's not red though, so it's not Carnage, but I don't know. Some whale's about to eat him, and that looks awesome to me. Excuse me. There'll be a Devil's Reign variant for that Wolverine cover. X-Force 26, I'm going to guess. I'm going to go ahead and read this, but I'm going to guess. More conspiracy. Beast has gone too far. Let's see. Eruption, Domino, Kid Omega, and Wolverine head back into the Thresher to recover the precious cargo stolen from Krakoa. If the team can survive the volcanic eruption and stormy seas, there's still organization behind the plot. The organization behind the plot. The reveal of which will have major ramifications on the next issues of the X-Force. And the debut of the next wave of mutant technology. Move over, Blackbird Jet. Hey, that's cool. Let's see if this Wolverine. The Old Mutant and the Sea. For Wolverine 19. It's the one that got away, but not for long. The deadliest creature in Krakoa is off its shore. And the deadliest mutant there will at last set out, that was not me, that's just literally the way it's written, to hunt the Leviathan he encountered on an X-Force mission. But can Wolverine take down this hidden creature of the deep that's bigger and stronger and older than math can figure? He better, because no one is safe till he does. So I wonder if I just spoiled X-Men 26 for X-Men 19. Not really. Spoilers. And there will be a pretty nice looking Steven Segovia cover for X-Force 26. I know I hopped between X-Force 26 and Wolverine 19 there a bit, so it is what it is, right? X-Men number 6, man, this has just been really, Jerry Duggan's a good writer, but what is that, 3 books he's writing right now in the X world? But at least 1 through 3, X-Men has just been very middling. It's reminiscent of, I hate to say it because some people really hate Nick Spencer's ASM, but my opinion is that it just didn't move the needle. It wasn't good or bad. And that's really how I feel about X-Men 1 through 3. Like, just doesn't move the needle. I will admit that this question here, whatever happened to Captain Krakoa, is interesting. And Pepper Larraz is on the art, and he also does the cover. So a Captain Krakoa, that might be cool. There is just one variant for that. It's a Dodderman new lineup trading card variant. So those trading card variants I've enjoyed, but it's the whole new lineup. X-Men Legends looks like it's going to be a Sinister book. So Fabian Nicieza is writing it. Dan Jurgens is drawing it. And what do we got here? Sometimes I try to see I can't really tell. So Fabian Nicieza is, if I'm pronouncing his name right, is just doing more stories within his run from back in the 90s. But it doesn't say like, oh, it's between Uncanny X-Men 3 something, right? So sometimes they do say that. The Trial of Magneto continues. We'll be at 5 of 5. Now, a spoiler alert if you haven't read it, in number 2, it's not called The Death of Scarlet Witch because she comes back immediately. So we've got to find out what happens with Magneto there. And then you have a Dan Jurgens variant cover there. So that's X-Men. We've gotten Heroes done. We've gotten I'll call it the Heroes Office done, Avengers and whatnot. We've gotten the Spider-Man Office done. We've even got the X Office done. Now let's do the random shit that they're doing. Sometimes I call it the licensed stuff. We'll see. Conan the Barbarian number 1 facsimile edition. That's pretty cool. I've been looking for good Conan. I've been looking for some really solid Conan collected editions, and I'm most interested in the Barry Windsor Smith stuff. So that's real early. I realize that that's also the Roy Thomas stuff. So this facsimile, I might just be weak and pick it up, or feel like I only have 2 books in my hand and I want to spend more at my comic shop and then grab it. But really, what I'm starting to look for is a nice collected edition of it that isn't retail. So that's what I'm looking out for. Jason Aaron's back at Conan again, and he's teaming up with Mahmoud Asrar. I really enjoyed their first run together. I had mixed feelings while I was reading it, but I think back on it very positively. Is that it was a bunch of what essentially were a bunch of one-shots that all sort of tied together. You were able to see a lot of eras of Conan. It was almost, I think, a way for Jason Aaron to go, listen, I know no one's going to let me write 85 issues of Conan, so I just want to do this one way where I could pay homage to a whole bunch of different eras and situations and styles of story even, when he had all the prostitutes, I think there's a time when Conan would have just had sex with them by page 3. And Jason Aaron wrote that issue. I'm not sure what it was. Great. Where it wasn't just, semi-sexual predator Conan, but he still got to get it on with these women who weren't actually you know what I mean? I can't even explain it. When I look back, I think that there's actually some memorable moments in that, even though I was wanting something epic at the time. And, and that's still a dig I have on that little run that he did, that 12 or 13 or whatever issue run, is that I wanted this epic, Conan story and didn't get it. But when I look back on it, I think he fit a lot of story in those 12 issues. So now he's going to do a bigger story, King Conan number 1 of 6. And it's Mahmoud Asrar. I really enjoyed his art. So they return to the saga of Conan in an all-new adventure that takes the story of the Cimmerian further than has ever been revealed in any media to date. As Robert E. Howard posited, when King Conan grows restless on the throne, he sails west towards land and adventure unknown. Well, there we go. So we're going to have an older Conan, and it's not going to be like that sitting on the throne style Conan that, I think works. But I would like to get to know the younger Conan better before we got stuck on a throne. And to be honest, it looks like I'm going to get best of both worlds on that one. So Conan number 1 has a bunch of variants. One of them that sticks out is the Stan Sakai variant. So that's pretty cool. So of course the Usagi Yojimbo creator, writer, and artist. His art doesn't fit Conan at all, but it's a fun cover. And yeah, a couple other ones don't really move the needle. So Star Wars will be hot off the end of War of the Bounty Hunters. It's amazing how much they can fit in, story in between these movies. And War of the Bounty Hunters feels like that should just move, after War of the Bounty Hunters ends, it feels like it's just moved right into a new Star Wars, right? Like it should just move right into Return of the Jedi. But they found a way to continue to do stories. So good job, Charles Soule, who is writing Star Wars number 20 along with artist Marco Castiello. So Luke has found a key piece of instruction in his journey along the Jedi path. The voice of his teacher, Jedi Master Yoda. So he gets a little Yoda voice in there. We're going to get a little Yoda hologram or something. But the lesson Luke must learn will not be taught by Yoda, and it will take and give more than Luke Skywalker could ever have imagined. Now, that doesn't tell you that much, but what I do want to highlight here is that Charles Soule wrote a great Darth Vader run. And this is reminiscent of that, to be honest. It feels like we might get like a deeper Luke involvement and like an understanding of him and his path, like we got with Darth Vader, which was set in that case was set immediately after Episode 3. So immediately after he realized he's a cyborg and he's pretty mad about it, right? And he's filled with rage. So that Star Wars will have two variants. So the standard ones that we expect, the action figure variant, and then a Lucasfilm variant. Now, Star Wars Bounty Hunters number 19. Now, this is a story I've enjoyed overall, at least what I've read it. I haven't fully read any of these. I sort of got behind. I sort of got behind on Star Wars reading, and then chaos spreads through the underworld. You know, I love the chaos stuff. But if you're going to do stories that are set in between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, it feels like bounty hunter stories are really where it's at. Like not the political stories like we got in Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones, I guess was number 2, but a real. It just feels like the more dusty era of Star Wars after Empire and then the beginning of Return of the Jedi. So it works, and they'll be right deep in dealing with Crimson Reign. It looks like has ignited the underworld and all-out war. So they weren't called Crimson Reign before. So there's obviously some new stuff. I haven't finished War of the Bounty Hunters yet, and I've enjoyed it. Ethan Sachs has been doing a good job. I think that's a new artist on here, Ramon Box, and one of the other great things about War of the Bounty Hunters, you don't necessarily need to follow one bounty hunter, right? So it looks like Tonga's team of bounty hunters. So with Bosk, Suckus, and Tasu Leech. So, hey, who knows? Something might happen to Vance and the bounty hunters that we're following along now. Of course, you get the Lucasfilm 50th variant, and then also the, War of the Bounty Hunters variant. They're still doing a War of the Bounty Hunters variant. It does not have, the main cover does not have that title, War of the Bounty Hunters, on the top, though. So, it looks like they just had an extra War of the Bounty Hunters variant. I don't know. Greg Pak, still on Darth Vader. This is same thing, Darth Vader that takes place between episodes 5 and 6. Giu Villanova is doing the art. A Ryan Stegman cover. It's very dark, though, so it's actually very cool, but looks pretty standard Star Wars or Darth Vader cover. So now Vader. Oh, so that's what I reading up here in the Bounty Hunters thing. They called it the Crimson Reign. So I'm not sure what the Crimson Reign is. But the Crimson Dawn still exists, and that's going to get mixed up in Darth Vader's storyline. So he's obviously going to need some revenge on the stuff that was happening in the Crimson Dawn. And, that was one of the big surprises in War of the Bounty Hunters. So I'm glad that they are dealing with that there. And then you get just 2 covers for that. A Grassetti cover. Raphael Grassetti is not someone I can really remember the art for, and of course the Lucasfilm 50th variant cover. Now, an original character to the comics, and has not made very many appearances outside of the comics. In books, yes, she was in a board game, is Star Wars Dr. Aphra. Alyssa Wong is writing that, and Mink Yoon is the artist. And I wish that they would get away from the cartoony art in Dr. Aphra, but then again, now we're been so many issues of Dr. Aphra, 50 in volume 1, and now we're at 17 here. Maybe it's just the way it is, and I can accept that. I like that Aphra's dealing with Sana Starros. Her reveal in Jason Aaron's Star Wars run was really fun. That was a really good couple arcs there with her relationship with Han Solo. And unless it was Sana Star. So I started to think that it wasn't her, but yeah, of course it will. But hey, Dr. Aphra, the Indiana Jones of the Star Wars world, and her demeanor is really fun. So I like that. It's like a bad Indiana Jones. And then something that has completely to do with Star Wars, but nothing to do with the Star Wars we're reading, is Star Wars: The High Republic. 200 years in the future. We'll be at number 12 on this one. Kevin Scott is still writing it. New writer, Georges Gianti, is doing that. So the hunt for Lorna D continues. That's good. So, this is jumping between... it's interesting what they have to do. So it's just like, at this point, it just feels like a fun era of Star Wars, because none of the bad guys at this point seem, very, very terrifying. But they have been entertaining books. So one of them is, I can't even remember what the name was. It was a plant, symbiotic plant, creature that was all over the place. And I mean, those stories were cool, don't get me wrong, but nothing feels like Darth Vader, right? Like, you can't live up to Darth Vader. And then the Nihil have been interesting, and they have an interesting way to get around the galaxy that makes them able to do it much faster. So, and Lorna D, it's funny, it's all these new characters, so it's very hard to put them together. Also, stuff is happening in the books, and the comic has done a good job of mostly being okay with, telling a full-on story, but sometimes something huge happened in the books. Like, I think the destruction of the Nihil, as far as I could put together, and I don't feel like it really showed that in the comic. So, it's a little bit hard to, when you get behind on the books, for the comic to have that same feel. And so hopefully they figure that out. But I love the idea of High Republic. I love the idea of starting a story hundreds of years in the past. Yoda's there and everything, so it's a good time. And it even has its own spin-off series, The Trial of Shadows, that Daniel Jose Older is drawing, along with art from David Wachter. Mysterious attack brings Emmerich and Cyan together at the Starlight to investigate connections to their case. Meanwhile, Arathab tries to ambush a Nihil ship with deadly results. See, that sounds like standard Star Wars stuff, just with new villains. So, and then number 4 will also ship in December, and then we'll close it out really easy. Warhammer 40K, Sisters of Battle, number 5 of 5. I was under the impression that Kieran Gillen was going to be writing all these Warhammer books, or at least show running them. But it doesn't seem to be the case. I don't hear Kieran really talking about the 40K Sisters Battle very much on his Discord. So at least at this point, it looks like this is just a separate story. Sisters of Battle. You get two issues of that. I didn't read this. I didn't see it. I didn't see number 1 even on Marvel Unlimited, but I could be wrong about that. So it's something easy for me to skip. I did like Warhammer 40K, the one that just came out, that Kieran Gillen wrote. But again, like I said earlier, I'm a Kieran Gillen reader, so I'm just interested in what he writes in those cases. And I wouldn't have necessarily grabbed a Warhammer 40K if it wasn't for him. And he didn't necessarily, and I really love the book, but he didn't necessarily make me just want to dive into that world either. So, hey, we did it. We talked about Marvel for a strong hour and 20 minutes. So let's move on. Thank you guys for listening. DC one will come out soon, as will an Image one. That one takes a little bit longer to prepare for. And thank you guys very much. Let me know what you think. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Casson Comics, and then search Casson Comics on YouTube, and you'll find me. Actually, youtube.com/Casson Comics, where you can find me there. So thank you guys for hanging out, and I will see you next month.